movies from various genres and decades. Stay tuned for this episode.
All right. Well, here we are, episode 26. And we're going to be doing something slightly different. We're going to do horror movie franchises, both movies and TV shows. I just found some five. We're doing five each, so I'm going to let the wizard go first.
Okay, I am not going in any particular order, but I'm starting off with something that is both movie and TV, but it's TV movies. Kolchak, which I know I think I've covered some Kolchak before, but it started with the two TV movies, and then it went to the TV series. You've got the reporter who's investigating all these spooky cases, and one of my friends once said that if they had done more than one season, that character Kolchak would probably be considered one of the greatest characters of all time on television. And I think he's right. It has a great combination of humor, creepiness, and some of it, I'll admit, some of it hasn't aged all that well. And they've done, I think, at least one, maybe two reboots, which were not good. I don't know if you can ever recapture that magic, but Kolchak is pretty awesome as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I remember watching the series, and when I was a kid, oh my God, that was the scariest thing on TV at the
It was
time.
very scary.
I mean, it had me looking in the shadows for things I didn't know if something was going to come out because I was what, 1974, so I was 8 years old. So yeah, but I loved it.
Yeah.
And I actually still haven't seen it, but I think this is going to be the year where I start watching some of them. They're on Peacock right now, so I think.
Oh, good.
I think I will check those out.
I own both movies and the series on Blu-ray. So
yeah, I got those too myself. I mean,
always heard great things about it. I can't breathe or speak in that thing, so I'm not going to be and can't see because I don't have my glasses on. I'm not going to be wearing that the whole episode for those who might be disappointed that you have to now look at my face. I know. Take this mask off, right?
Right. All right, I'll go next this time. I got the Basket Case franchise. Basket Case started off as a really gritty, low budget. Now they call them grindhouse type movies, and it was scary. There were some humor bits, but they were so subdued. Almost you had to really kind of pay attention to it. It was more gory, and I was telling Bill before we started that this kind of falls in with the Evil Dead thing, where Evil Dead starts off, the first one starts off scary, and the rest they went more slapstick. Well, the sequels on these went more black comedy, and I like the whole entire series, but the first one is amazing. It's about these conjoined twins that get separated, but the one is human looking, and the other is this blob that has, really deformed. And the human half basically gets food for the blob until his name is Belial, and Belial starts getting hungry for more than just hamburgers. There's some really spectacular kill scenes, especially when all these he's in the office where the doctor did the separation. One of the doctors there, she gets looks like a dozen or so scalpels right in her face, and it's spectacular. And like I said, the other two, the first one was 1982, and then the second one was in 90 and then 91. I think those ones were direct to video, but they had the more humor side of it. And and the version that I got is it's they're all together. I know they're on Arrow, and I don't know if there's a box set of them yet, but Arrow has at least the first one. These ones are from Second Sight, and I got it on eBay for like $25 for 3 movies. I mean, can't beat that. So this one was pretty good if you like something that's way on the fringe of horror. I mean that, and I don't really see this talked about much. This series. I mean, because it was a fun series. First one was kind of creepy and scary. Second ones were just had a little humor to it, and still a little creepy and scary, but just that aspect was toned down, and the humor was kind of jacked up a little bit more. And it had the same human actor throughout, from the first one to all three of them, and I would recommend it if you're looking for something that's, one of the more lesser known franchises out there. This is one to check out. And that's my first entry.
Okay. Feel like I haven't seen that one either. All right, so my first one is actually more of a horror adjacent. It's not exactly horror, it's mystery. I went with the Charlie Chan series, but it's a phenomenal series just for the numbers alone. There are, in the original run, 44 films that start from 1931 and go to 1949. 3 different actors go through the Charlie Chan series. Warner Olin starts it. He plays Chan rather seriously. Sidney Toler takes over in 1938 and adds a little bit of humor to the character. He picks on his number one son and his kids. He always has some of his kids helping him with his mysteries, trying to solve the crimes. And it went through 2 different studios. It started at 20th Century Fox, and in 1943, I guess they changed. 42 was the last 20th Century Fox. Then it goes to Monogram, and Sidney Toler took over. He's actually my favorite Chan, the one who added a little bit of humor to it. And he goes all the way to 1946 when he started having health issues, getting a little too old to play the role, and was starting to have some health issues. And in 1947, it's finally taken over by Roland Winters, who only does 6 of the Chan films. 4 of the films are lost. There were some of the early ones, but some of the horror connections are just what you love about the Universal movies with the shadows and what they do with those things. You'll find that all over the place in all of the Chan movies, which is just incredibly, cinematography of that black and white, the way they used to do it, the silver screen. And you also get some of your famous horror actors in it. The very first Chan movie was The Black Camel. One of the characters in there is Bela Lugosi, back when he was at the top of his game, right around the time of Dracula. And Boris Karloff also shows up in Charlie Chan at the Opera in 1936. So, it's just a phenomenal series. 18 years, 44 movies, 2 studios, 3 actors. I mean, the numbers alone just make it impressive, at least. I haven't seen them all, but I've seen a majority. There's a number of ones that I am missing. But anyway, if you're looking for some of the old classics, and they're just Charlie Chan in London, Charlie Chan in Egypt, Charlie Chan in Paris, and then Charlie Chan on Broadway, Charlie Chan with the Wax Museum, Charlie Chan at the racetrack. I mean, there's just the titles are just funny. Also, one of his assistants is one of the people I've talked about before, Manton Moreland. He starts off in the Sidney Toler series as a taxi driver. And they liked the character so much, they had him use the taxi driver again in another movie after that. and then he makes him an assistant in another movie after that, and then he's in all the movies right up until the end, even with the Roland Winters. It does get some criticism. I should point out that all of the Chan actors, he's supposed to be a Chinese detective, they are played by Caucasian men. It was something that they did back then. I'm a half Italian, and Edward G. Robinson is Jewish, but he played a lot of Italian gangsters. So I'll just throw that out there. I don't know if that's but
I
some
think
of the
it's of the
Chan,
times. It's of the
but
times.
it's of the
I always
times, right?
I explain to people, whether it's right or wrong, that's besides the point. It's of the times of how they perceive things. I mean,
It is, and
and
the attitude of the day was if somebody could play someone of a different ethnicity, it showed good acting skill. That was the attitude of the times.
right,
Um, Again, not defending it, but that's what they used to believe.
yeah,
A lot of the Chan kids, though, were usually played by Asian actors and actresses. Sometimes it was his daughters. The series also gave us Key Luke. He was the number one son. He wasn't in a lot of them, actually, but you'll remember him from the Kung Fu TV series.
yes,
That was Key Luke. They started out as number one son when he was a young man. And then he plays the old uh, aged Asian sensei in the Kung Fu TV series. So he starts off in this. Um, and he goes through, and they also did some of the cliches of Chinese people having a large number of children. And if you really wanted to go even further, there was a Charlie Chan cartoon in the 70s that even came
yeah,
out. So it's Charlie, what was it? Charlie and the Chan clan, or Charlie Chan and the Chan clan, or something like that. Anyway, he had his whole 9 kids that supposedly helped him out with solving mysteries. But the really good mysteries, he is my favorite of the super sleuths of that era, at least. Um, oh, and it also started with books, actually, in the 1920s by Earl Durr Biggers. And I liked the Chan series so much, I even bought all 6 books, and I read at least half of those. And they're really good mysteries. I think the movies do it justice. Oh, and it even was a TV show. That's right, with J. Carrol Naish. One season plays Charlie Chan, somewhere in the 50s. I don't remember the exact date, but so it does go into TV as well as movies. That's it. I think he's funny, he's witty, and when he was making that character, he wasn't trying to do the cliches. Really, he didn't know that much about Chinese culture. Older Biggers, I've read articles about him. But keep in mind that other characters sometimes do act racist towards Chan, and Chan takes it in stride, and he always ones up them eventually. Like for instance, he'll somebody says like, "You want to go get drinky?" Making fun of Chan, and he'll say, "We get drinky later," making fun of, throwing it right back at his face in the movie. So he does kind of, he does play on that, and makes the guy feel bad, but then says, makes friends with the guy, and he always ones up the other people too. He's always the smartest guy in the room, but he has to play it like he isn't. Right. So
right,
the actual detectives are there trying to solve the mysteries. And he'll be like, surely you noticed this clue over here because you're much smarter than I am. But he's always the smartest guy in the room every time and one ups the actual detectives. So, he is shown as being an excellent detective, defined super sleuth for the era. And that was also with other guys like the Boston Blackie and Sherlock Holmes and all the different super sleuths. Mr. Moto was also in that era. It was just all over the place.
right.
The crime doctor. There was a lot of them back then, but he's my favorite of the era, and I've seen a lot of them. I really went into a huge rabbit hole into this a few years ago and watched a ton of these things. But Charlie Chan came out as my personal favorite anyway. So that's what I started off with.
All right. It looks like the wizard is going to conjure up something.
Yes, my next choice, which is the Friday the 13th movie series. Yes, and I know we've talked about a few of the movies before. It's sort of an odd series. It's very uneven, but it's also a lot of fun. I mean, it starts off the very first movie isn't actually Jason doing the killing. I mean, spoiler, but this movie's what, 50 years old? I don't think it's a spoiler anymore. It's actually his mother who's taking revenge because he died as a kid. But then by the second movie, it's Jason who's taking revenge on his mother being killed in the first movie. So it kind of doesn't make much sense. But you know what? They were probably one of the series of movies that really popularized the slasher, and they went all kinds of different directions with it. They got kind of silly at times, like over the top silly, intentionally silly. I remember there's at least one where they do like a whole spoof of the James Bond opening with the little circles
Yeah.
at the beginning, which I thought was great because it was just ridiculous. And to me, when they go Frankenstein and he gets brought back from the dead, I thought it was even better. I thought that really upped the stakes. Now, there are a couple of odd ones out there too. Jason X for one, which I have not seen yet. But as a whole, I really like the series. There are issues with a lot of it. They're certainly slow compared to today's standards,
Right.
but when they did the remake of it a few years back, and they basically did the first four movies in one film, which kind of got it up to the pace that people are used to now.
Right.
And it worked pretty well that way, I think. But I really like the series, and you can't go wrong with Jason.
Right. Well, you can if you get the knife, the
Well, yeah,
machete
yeah.
in you. If you get the
Well,
machete in you.
Part three was 3D.
when we were at a horror con the other day, the last weekend, there was a guy walking around as Jason, and he was dragging behind a sleeping bag, which I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" For those who
Yeah.
don't know, that's one of the most famous Jason kills is when he pulls this woman in a sleeping bag and just slams her against a tree, And it was like to see the guy dragging the sleeping bag. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I enjoyed the series. I mean, a friend of mine a few years back, I had him on VHS, and I never upgraded. I got rid of the VHS, never upgraded. But a friend of mine gave me the codes for that. Remember that box set this I think it was Scream Factory put out? He gave me the codes for the digital one, so I used that, and each year I'm like going, okay, I'm gonna buy this box set. No, I'm gonna buy this box set. It keeps on slipping my mind, but at least I have them up, and I think it also includes the remake. I haven't watched that yet, but
I
I think the
I
other
have the
one,
box. I have the box set of like the first eight, whatever it
yeah,
is.
um, there was the one I know you said the Jason X, which is kind of an oddity, and the other one I thought was an
Jason Goes to
oddity. What
Hell.
that and Jason Takes Manhattan.
I like that one. I know a lot of people hate that one, but I like it.
That
I
was the
thought
last
it was
one.
just kind of silly. I thought it was
It
kind of
was, but
It
silly.
it was
was.
fun. It was fun.
Yeah,
That's the last one I saw was Jason Takes Manhattan. I think is that 8 or is that 9?
I think that's 8.
It's 8. Okay, I knew it was
Yeah, because
somewhere
Jason
8 or
X is 10.
10. Yeah. So what's in between there? Is
Jason
that
Goes
Jason
to
Goes to
Hell.
Hell? Goes to
Yeah.
Hell.
Jason
Gotcha.
Goes-
I
and
really
then
want to pick them back up again and pick it up where I left because I'm a real sucker for two monsters fighting each other, and I want to see Jason versus Freddy. When I was
yeah,
growing up, that was like everybody
that
was
was
talking about they're going to do Jason versus Freddy one day, and they
that was
finally
pretty
did.
decent, I thought. I'd seen that. I didn't see the first two in the theaters, but my dad took me to the third one in 3D, and that was fun. So from the third one on, I saw them in
Good
theaters.
3D.
So yeah, now they actually did have a scene where the
I
machete
remember,
came.
yeah, I did. Like I
It
said, I
was
saw all of them up to Manhattan,
yeah,
and some of the main, some big name actors too. Kevin Bacon,
yeah.
and Corey Feldman are in some of those. Yeah, you had some decent actors coming in or out.
Oh yeah, it was good. They were good series. I mean,
Alice Cooper did the soundtrack for Jason the seventh one.
Yeah.
Jason Lives.
yeah,
Constrictor. His Constrictor album is basically the Friday the 13th soundtrack.
All right. Well, my next one is that there's only two in this franchise, and it's Count Yorga. Now, originally, Count Yorga, when it was proposed, was supposed to be a softcore porn movie, and the actor that was going to play Count Yorga said, "I'll only do this if you made it into a straight horror movie, vampire movie." And they said, "Okay." So this is one of my favorite lesser known vampires out there. I mean, because uh he doesn't follow the same. He's like almost looks uh like like a college professor, and that's what he basically does. He teaches um class on that, and then he is pretty menacing as a vampire too. But I mean, by today's standards, it's nothing but, I always tell people, get in the mindset of that time period and see how it feels then. Because I actually saw this and the sequel, while it was on TV. It was like 6 years after, because the first one was in let's see, when 1970, and the second one was 71. So I saw them like when I was 10, 11 years old on local TV and uh, midnight showing, you know, sneak out of the bedroom to go watch movies at night. I had to be real low, so I was really close to the television so I can hear what's going on. And maybe that's why I got bad eyesight and bad hearing. Um, but they were fun, and they were at the time that they were scary. I mean, I would put them in the same scary scale as Kolchak.
Yeah, they're very good. One of the things I really like about those movies is, which it's sort of a vampire thing, but you don't often see it in movies, is that they present it that he is always the smartest person in the room,
Yes,
way smarter than everybody else.
yeah, because I guess because he's a vampire, his intellect is like heightened and everything, uh, and it's really I and it's it starts off with a like a séance, which was kind of creepy there. This is something, if you're looking for a vampire series that is lesser known, but I mean, should be his name should be spoken with Dracula and Orloff and the
Barnabas
Count.
Collins. Yeah.
Yeah, he should be up there because I mean, I think if they had made more movies than just the two, I think possibly that would have been the case. But, sometimes, I mean, and I'm really glad that Arrow put them together as a box set, which I I'm so glad I picked that up because I had them separately before, and then I saw that they had box set. I said, okay, I'm gonna buy the box set and trade in the single disc movies in for something at a local store. So I'm glad I had that. So, you like vampires, this is one, or I should say, if you consider yourself a vampire fan, this is one you need to get.
And they are very good. I've seen them as well. They're right up there with that era of late '60s, early '70s Gothic style of movies.
Yeah,
Great cinematography.
and it's an American Gothic, you know,
It is.
type, and it's like their version of a Gothic horror movie.
Right. They're kind of like the Corman Poe series in some ways, at least in the look anyway. In my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
Something like
they're
that.
good, really good, and something that, like I said, if you consider yourself a vampire fan, um, you need to get these. I mean, seek them out. I mean, watch them first somewhere. I'm sure that they're somewhere streaming. Even if it's on a grainy copy on YouTube, check it out first. But I guarantee you, probably once you see them, you'll say, "Yeah, I think I'll go buy them." And that's my second entry too.
Okay. My second entry is also a little bit off the wall, and I'll get into some more typical things for series after this one. I'm going in kind of a chronological order, sort of kind of. Is the Creeper series from Universal. I was trying to think of a Universal series I wanted to do. I considered the Frankenstein series the usual ones, but I thought I wanted to go with something kind of off the wall, a little more cultish. The Creeper, of course, is played by Rondo Hatton, which we have Rondo Hatton Awards named after this guy. He had acromegaly, kind of a tragic character in his personal life. He plays the Creeper. It's hard to really call it technically a series, but he does play the Creeper in 3 different movies, and they are somewhat connected. It actually starts with a Sherlock Holmes movie, and so it's a series that started another series, which they also almost did twice because the Spider Woman has a second movie uh, from Sherlock Holmes and the Spider Woman. It starts with Sherlock Holmes and the Pearl of Death is the first appearance of the Creeper. He's not the main villain. He's kind of a henchman to one of the villains. He's supposed to be a serial killer. And of course, he gets caught in the end. And then he comes back. And I think the best of the three, as far as being the Creeper and Rondo Hatton, really showcasing him, is the second in the series, House of Horrors. This is one kind of similar to that one, but this guy's there's a guy who's a sculptor, and he's really bad. Everybody hates his work, except then he sculpts Rondo Hatton's face, and that's kind of what you usually see when you see those Rondo Awards. It came from House of Horrors, and he gets some acclaim from that. But the Creeper is still going out and committing his crimes. He's the serial killer. That's probably the best in the series. And the last movie that he appears in is called The Brute Man. And that is usually heralded as the last of the original Universal horror movie series, 1946. So it's really a coda to all of the original series that started in 1931 with Dracula, ends with Rondo Hatton in The Brute Man, where he comes back one more time to play the serial killer, the Creeper. And that was not too bad either, actually. The only thing with the Pearl of Death is probably the best of the 3 movies, technically, aesthetically, but he's not really showcased as much in that movie as he is in the other 2. But it is the same character. They do come back. They do kind of reference a little bit the other movies, so it is kind of a series. And they are creepy. It's definitely horror. At least the other 2, House of Horrors and The Brute Man, are, as far as 1940s style Universal horror movies series. So that's the second one I went with. Poor old Rondo Hatton and if you ever see a young picture of Rondo Hatton, he's got this chiseled physique. It was that he had this acromegaly, which was, gigantism, they used to call it. It was Andre the Giant had it. They usually die fairly young in their mid 40s, but that's what he was suffering from. It made him become an actor, a very prominently well-known horror movie actor, and didn't need a whole lot of makeup to do it. So that's my second one, is to talk about the cult movie icon Rondo Hatton as the Creeper.
Okay. Well, we're back around to me then. And I know I've talked about some of these movies before, but again, since we're doing a series, Halloween. The very first one, in my opinion, the very first one is, in my opinion, probably the perfect movie. There's everything, I like everything about it. Then again, you guys know, John Carpenter fanatic. But the series after that gets a little spotty. Some of them are pretty good, some of them not so much. And then everybody goes nuts over hating on Halloween 3. And I know I've talked about it before. I love Halloween 3. It's completely different. It has nothing to do with Michael Myers. The idea originally was that when Sandy Hill and John Carpenter came up with the idea of doing Halloween, they wanted to do a series of movies where the only connection was that all the movies would take place at Halloween. But then the first one did so well, the movie studio insisted they do a sequel to it. The sequel kind of didn't do as well as the studio wanted. The studio was like, okay, you go ahead and do your anthology thing. And so they did, 3, and 3 bombed as well. because I think to a large degree, everybody came in looking for Michael Myers, and they're like, "There's no Michael Myers. What's going on?" But I think it's absolutely a brilliant supernatural horror movie. And like I say, spotty from there on. The first three are really, really, really good, all three of them, and then after that, it's sort of questionable. Perhaps even a little less consistent than Friday the 13th, but there are plenty of good moments.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, what was it? The one that if I wish if they would have done it right was, about the the thorn cult or something. If they would have done that right, that would have been cool. But they started off okay, but then, you know, they fell flat on their face with that. I mean, there's a thing where they show the different timelines that if you wanted to go from Halloween to Halloween 2 to, I think it's to, or no, Halloween to H2O or something like that, then Halloween to the 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 last trilogy.
The
It's
Blumhouse ones. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
And I
the
thought
Blum,
the first two of the Blumhouse ones were great. The third one, what on earth happened there?
yeah. I have to agree, but at the same time, I just step back. It's like, what else were they gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, they with the one thing with the slasher films is like, are you gonna redo what you did the previous film? Because that's the one thing that as an adult, I mean, as a kid, I would just eat everything up alive, all these slashers. I mean, I even when I was working at the video store in 85, 86, I went through the entire horror movie section and I watched all the slasher movies first. Then I got, the mystery ones and then the cult ones and um but now that I'm looking at it, some of them, okay, what else are you going to do? I mean, how many times is he, let's say for Jason, how many times is he going to get resurrected and get killed?
Mhm.
It's like I even saw someone was saying that um, the Kenny character on South Park, where he gets killed all the time, kind of is like a
Kenny.
Jason type of thing. I mean, comes back to life the next episode, and it's like, and usually you don't know how he comes back to life. I mean, he just does. He's there,
Starts
and
appearing again.
but yeah, I mean, those are two good franchises. I mean, they got a lot of loyal fans to them, uh, and I notice more of them are younger loyal fans, like under 40, that never saw the original in the theater. And actually, they weren't even born when the original was in the theater, or this second,
Probably not.
or
I was
even
pretty
the
young when the
third.
first one came out in the theater.
Yeah. So yeah, good.
But yeah, the first one is definitely probably one of the best slashers ever made. At least one of anyway. Arguably maybe the best, but it's very good. I got through the first three. I really want to watch that new trilogy because I've heard so many good things, but I'm not sure how
Yeah.
far. So I know the lineage, but I've seen the first three. Can I jump ahead to that last trilogy that came out a few years ago? I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
Yeah, you
want to
can,
push some of these
because
up.
basically John Carpenter with what was it, the one in 2018, was basically saying anything that happened after the first one wiped out.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's basically
Good.
from
So I'm good.
1978 to 2018. I
Gotcha.
mean, that's one timeline. The other
Right.
timeline is 1 and 2, and then they have
Four and
yeah,
four
and
and
it's
five. And how many does it go up to? I don't even know anymore. I used to know these things.
I don't know.
I
And
did
let's completely ignore the Rob Zombie one.
yeah, I
Yeah,
did
There's
not
only
like
that's
two, I
that.
not part of
think.
the. Yeah, that's not part of the actual timeline either, is it?
No, no.
Either of the
No.
times. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay.
My beef with that is they explained Michael Myers.
Yes.
I forgot.
Thank
I
you.
that
did
was
not
consistent.
like that.
No, it's like okay, then he just suddenly became just a generic serial psycho killer. And it's
Yeah,
like he was something more than that, and that mystery was what made him
yeah.
special.
He was an enigma.
Yes,
You know,
he
you
was
didn't
the
know
shape,
what the shape. I mean,
the
that's who he
boogeyman.
was. Yeah.
And by the way, Ghost Hunter's Moon was made of for one of those newer movies. And the shirt, by the way, is from the Ice Nine Kills concert that I was at not too long ago, along with
Nice.
Kim Dracula, Dayseeker, and Funeral Portrait. And Mesh was the opener, but I didn't see them. I had to work. Excellent show. Kim Dracula and Funeral Portrait were actually also very good. I'm not so sure about Dayseeker, but anyway, that's enough about that. And I love this. I love the Mike Myers shirt that they had for this Ice Nine Kills. This is my. I was looking at the shirts to choose. That was the one I thought was the best. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there, I guess.
All right.
But yeah,
All right.
definitely a good series. Definitely worth talking.
Oh, yeah. All right. I got my next one that there's three in a series, and it's called It's Alive, and it started in 1974. And this was one of the ones like Basket Case. It kind of starts off almost straight horror, and it's about an infant that is a mutant, and if you've seen the posters, it's got this little demonic looking baby with fangs and everything and claws, and it goes uh after the woman gives birth to the baby. I mean, it's massacres everybody in the operating room, and goes on basically on a killing spree. And it's again, it has, I don't know, it falls in with Gary's first pick, Night Stalker. It's not overly gory. It's just enough, and it lets the story do all the talking on it. Where instead of it being like a gore fest, where it's like the baby just going on rampage, you know, there's reason the reason behind it. And then I don't think they ever explained about why the woman gave birth to the mutant, but it was just, I think at the time, um, maybe it was some sort of an allegory for, you know, child defects or something like that. And and like I said, the second one, um, it lives again, and it's still kind of straight horror, but then there's some funny. But then when it gets to It's Alive 3, a decade later, in 1987, it kind of gets a little more black comedy, and the reason, and it has Michael Moriarty, and it's, if you remember Salem's the Return to Salem plot with Michael Moriarty, if you remember how that vibe was, where it just it was it it was I want to say it had a little bit of slapstick to it, but not, you know, just like silliness to it. And I didn't like it as much, but I mean it was a pretty good thing. And then supposedly that I haven't even seen it. There's a 2009 remake, and uh, which is odd. It was released on my birthday in 2009, April 2nd, and I'd never seen it. So, um, I like this series. You know, the first one I say is the best out of it. I mean, I got the Scream Factory box set with all three of them together. I don't know if that's still in print or not, but if you like monsters that are not Dracula or Frankenstein or the Mummy or the creature, you know, here's an infant that the baby goes and kills. And it's done by Larry Cohen, who he had a lot of black comedy um, horror movies. Uh, I'm not sure if you remember that one called Q, about the winged serpent.
Oh,
Uh,
vaguely.
and then another one, God Told Me To. I mean, it has that kind of a his humor. It's just kind of dry humor to it. But this is a good one. I mean, I I've always enjoyed it. And then when I saw that was in a box set, I was like, well, okay, I'll get it. I mean, I got all three of them together. I mean, I watched the first two more than the third one, but I think I might have to locate that third one and get it and you know see if it's any good.
Yeah, I've actually only seen the first one, and I saw it. I did a double feature at my house with that and Rosemary's Baby, and they make an excellent double feature together, actually.
Yeah,
They really complement each other very well.
Yeah, I've seen the first one. I haven't seen any of the rest.
Yeah, I didn't see
yeah,
it.
it's good. They're good. So that is my third.
Okay, so my third. Now I'm finally doing something of a more conventional series. I wanted to do the Hammer Dracula series. It's I think their best series. I think it's a little bit better than their Frankenstein series, which is also good, their Frankenstein series, but it's definitely much more straight horror than Frankenstein. Their Frankenstein series is a bit more science fiction, especially the way they did it. Maybe we'll talk about that series another day. But their Dracula series that starts with Christopher Lee playing Dracula. He winds up playing Dracula more times than any other actor in history. There's 9 movies in the series, but he does not appear in the second, and I don't think he appears in the last one either.
No,
There might be another one he doesn't appear in, but I think pretty sure he's in
there's
the rest.
two.
So he's in 7.
There's two.
Yeah, there's 2 he does not appear in. Right. The Brides of Dracula, the second in the series, and the last in the series, the Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, which I still have not seen. That's the
That's
only
fun.
one in the series I have not seen, though. I've seen all the rest of them.
That's a fun one.
What's that?
It's fun.
So bad it's good is what I hear. But and it's really weird that he's not in the second one. That Christopher Lee isn't in the second one because it's one of the best in the series. And Peter Cushing is also in there. He plays the Van Helsing character and battles Dracula, and he actually gets bit, and he goes through this ritual of how to survive a vampire bite, which is a real highlight of the not only that movie but of the entire series. The first one, of course, follows the Bram Stoker novel fairly accurately, somewhat, as they all as accurately as any of the others do. Also features Michael Gough, who is another famous British actor. More modern fans would remember him as Alfred the Butler in the 1989 Batman movie and some of the sequels. But one of the other things I really love about this series are the unique ways that they wind up killing Dracula at the end of most of the movies. They took just some hints from the book and applied them to some of the movies. There's one where he dies from holy water or streams flowing underneath a church, and he decides that's holy water, and they find a way to get Dracula into the water to kill him. Another one, he dies by falling into a rose bush, which is another unique way to kill a vampire. There's only one reference in the Bram Stoker. It's my favorite book, the Bram Stoker's Dracula. And there's one reference in there where if you put a rose on top of a coffin with a vampire in the coffin, that he is trapped in the coffin. He cannot escape the coffin if there's a rose on top of it. So they just kind of went with that and made it so that the thorns from a rose could kill him and things like that. There's just some really unique things that they did with it. They really let their imagination run wild as it goes. And you'll notice that as the series moves on, Christopher Lee as Dracula, even the ones he's in, he has less and less footage. He was trying to get out of doing the series, I've heard, but the studio kept telling him, think of all the other actors that'll be out of work if you don't appear. The audience wants to see you playing Dracula. So they talked him into it a couple times just to give other actors at Hammer Studios more work, which is kudos to him, but they kept reducing the amount of footage he's in until the final one, Dracula and the Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, where he doesn't appear at all. But and my other comment on Dracula AD 1972 in my opinion, I've always thought was a serious version of Love at First Bites.
Yeah.
Basically the same movie,
Yeah,
but it's
okay.
serious in that one. So
Yeah, okay.
there's a disco scene. Come on, in Dracula AD 1972, just like there is in Love Bites. So it's a really
You know,
great series.
I think my favorite one out of that series is the Satanic Rites of Dracula.
That is a good one too. Definitely,
That's my
definitely a
favorite
highlight.
because then now they're moving it away from like traditional Dracula into the Dracula's something to do with the devil, and I was like,
Right.
okay,
Right,
okay,
yeah, they do take some unique views. I've always thought the Hammer movies were a little bit more literary than the Universal movies in their takes on the monster movies. They almost
yeah,
seem like, even the ones that weren't taken from books kind of seem like they might have been taken from books. So I really like them for that. And they do the bright colors,
yes.
something like what the AIP movies did when they started doing color movies. I always love that. Um, So it's really a good series. It's a lot tighter than the Frankenstein series, which I love the Frankenstein series too, but this one's a little bit tighter. And they also did a Mummy series, which maybe we can talk about another day too. But 4 movies in the Hammer Mummy movie series.
Well,
A
there's
lot
a
less connected.
fun fact about all those Hammer films. A lot of them reuse scenery and
Oh, I'm sure,
backdrops.
for sure.
I mean, there's actual a list online, and also I'm sure there's a video that actually showcases that one movie used like an angle of one prop, and the other movie used that same prop but in a different
In a different
angle.
angle. I believe it.
Just so people would not notice it. But I mean, back then people weren't really. I mean, I think people started really getting into dissecting films in like the 80s. So it's like back in the 70s, people would just
VHS,
went
right?
there. Yeah, people would
If you
just
wanted
went
to
there
watch
to
a movie
watch the
10
movie.
times, you had to pay 10 tickets.
Yeah,
Today you can just, put it in your VCR and watch it every day for a week if you want, or just put it on a
ex
loop and, so you start noticing these little things.
yeah.
But
I mean, I think we pay more attention to films now than we did as kids. I
probably
mean,
so.
because I think as kids we were just enjoying them. Now some of us dissect them. I think some of the critics on YouTube dissect films a little too much and nitpick a little too much. I mean,
Probably.
I've watched some people, and it's like, oh my God, I just shut their
And,
videos off because
and if you really want to dissect this series of films, I'm sure it's very easy to do so. I don't think you'd
oh
have to
yeah,
try very hard. It's shooting fish in
oh
a barrel.
yeah.
Or you could just
I
sit back and enjoy it as a series,
I
which
got
I think is much
I
more fun in my opinion.
I posted on one of those people's things. I said, if you're so good with dissecting movies, why don't you go make a movie? Make one
Fair
yourself.
enough.
Because you're obviously you think that you can make something perfect, and then watch them get ripped to shreds. But anyways, that's just my little opinion on the matter. So we're back to the wizard.
Well, that's my
All right.
third. Yeah.
So I am going with a straight up TV series at this point. Rod Serling's Night Gallery, which was his series he did after Twilight Zone, and where Twilight Zone tended to focus more on science fiction and fantasy, Night Gallery was more pure horror. It was sort of hit and miss. I mean, there were some really, really good episodes, and there were some other ones that were a little iffy. The budget was definitely not there like it had been with Twilight Zone. But it does benefit from being in color versus black and white, or perhaps suffer from it depending on how you look at it. There are some stories, some really classic stories on there. It didn't last nearly as long as Twilight Zone either, but it was a really, really good series. And I loved how they had the framing thing where each little story would have a picture in the night gallery that they would show,
Yes,
which was one of
That was
the
awesome.
framing things of it, which was really, really cool. It's just it's sort of a lost series. You know, the Twilight Zone's always on TV, but you don't see the Night Gallery very much.
No,
I
that
own
was
it
Not
on
no.
disc, but you know,
it's it's one of those ones that I mean, it goes back to the American Gothic style. I mean, it has a
yeah,
Gothic style to each one of the stories, and it's like the old way of telling stories where they're relying on the story rather than the special effects. You know, I think that that's what's lost today is storytelling.
It's a very
You know,
underrated
for the
series
most
for
part,
sure. Yeah.
there's some good stuff that have good stories to it, but I think a lot of it they rely either on CGI or gore. Oh, and then the new one, jump scares,
jump scares. Yeah.
which jump scares are to me that's a cheap way of scaring because that
That's a
anyone
startle.
can,
That's a startle. That's not fear. That's startle.
yeah, that's a big difference then. And you want to get something that makes for guys the hair on the back of their neck stick up and like you start getting in your complete terror. What what's going to come? What's going to come for you? What's going to come for you?
I definitely agree. That's a very underrated series. Very good series. That mermaid episode was my favorite. That one, I watched that when I was a kid. That one kind of freaked me out a little bit. You remember what the episode I'm talking about?
I think I do. Yeah.
He finds a mermaid
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he finds a spell to turn her into a complete female. I don't want to give away the ending. The
Mhm.
ending's ah, but
Pretty
it was
horrific.
it was a very good series actually. Very underrated. You don't, and you're right. You don't see that one on television. I think one of my local stations was showing it for a little while, but it didn't. Even then, it didn't last long. It wasn't on for too many weeks. I don't even think a year. I don't even think it was on for a year. But they were showing a few reruns for a little while, a couple months maybe.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was
A
that was a
couple good
good.
Lovecraft adaptations in there too.
They did, yeah, they did have a few.
Hickman's Model and Cool Air.
That's right.
now I gotta get now I gotta get that. Thank you, Gary.
I might have to see who's
My
streaming
pocketbook's gonna my
it.
pocketbook
Somebody's got
hates
to.
you. My wallet hates you.
I'm sure
I,
somebody
I
there that's
remember
careful.
watching that when I was little, and it was like Night Gallery Blu-ray.
And there was a season of Dr. Madblood in the early 2000s was doing TV shows instead of movies, and there was a season where he did a bunch of the Night Gallery episodes too. It was the same station that was
Ah,
showing them
it's only
on,
on
on all
DVD.
channels. But
Yeah, I was gonna say I only own it on DVD.
Well, it's better than nothing. But yeah, that one actually scared me. There was another one at the time, or maybe earlier. Um, I want to say it was One Step Beyond.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one. I've never seen it.
Or there was another one. All I can remember, it was something that was happening at a beach, and it was like these people were stranded on the beach,
Hmm.
and it's just one of those things that's stuck in my brain. Can't think of the name of it. So if anybody, it was on television. So if anybody out there, it's and it was kind of like where they were being picked off one by one, but it wasn't a slasher per se.
yeah, I don't think it
Um,
was One Step Beyond. One Step Beyond, unless it
that
was a
was in
remake
black and white.
version.
That was in
Yeah,
black
because
and
that
white.
was, and it was like in the 50s. And One Step Beyond, the interesting thing about that show was there were supposedly true stories. People, you know, some of the Dr. Malady has even covered some of the stories in some of the things he writes about for Wormwood and his Facebook group. But they were supposedly true stories. That at least the people who experienced them claim they were true stories. That's really good. That's also a really good series. I don't remember that particular episode with the beach, but I haven't seen
Yeah,
every episode either.
I
I've seen
think
a
it
number
was
of
in color. I think it was in color or something. I don't
them. So
remember.
that might have
So
been a different series.
if anybody knows it out there that that really watches the horror TV series from the I want to say 60s and 70s because I want to say it's in the 70s, but it scared the daylights out of
Could have been Tales from the Crypt, maybe. So,
me. Possibly, I'm not sure.
yeah. Anyway,
All right, back to me. Um, I have another series that is three, and this particular one, each one are basically standalones. They're not direct sequels to each other. It's Warlock, and the first one and second one has Julian Sands, and basically he plays the son of Satan, and he travels from the late 17th century to modern times on a mission to destroy the world. You know, a fun guy. You know,
Noble mission.
was that?
A noble mission.
Yeah, the noble mission. You know that, um, and it has a Friday the 13th tie. Steve Miner directs it. So it's the first one was great. It was a great one. And these Vestron Blu-ray has all three of them together. The first one was great, and the second one was good, and the third one they didn't have Julian Sands. They had another fellow. I'm trying to remember his name. Uh, but uh, the third one, I mean, it had a good actor. I mean, he um, Bruce Payne. You know, he played the title character. He was a good actor, but after you have two of them that have a certain actor, you kind of when they change up the actor, uh, it just doesn't work, you know. And the third one was called the second one was called The Armageddon, and then the third one was called The End of Innocence. Uh, I mean, I'm sure you could probably find the first one by itself on Blu-ray or something like that, but you know, the other two are worth looking into. Um, Now again, this one is there's not really that much. There's not much gore in it. It's just more story than anything. And like I said, the first one, I love the story to it. I mean, I like the fact that it utilizes time travel in a horror setting, and the fact that this guy is the son of Satan makes it even more fun. You know, because how often do you see in movies the son of Satan coming? You know, it's usually Satan. You know, it's like, why am I sending my son? You know, I'll do the dirty work myself. But it's Satan this time, and they're fun movies. I mean, you especially the second and third one. I just say leave your brain at the door. Because if you're going to analyze it, you're just going to give yourself a migraine. But the first one's good. I definitely would recommend the first one. And that is my fourth entry.
okay. My fourth one. I decided to go once again. I know I talked about it before. Another one that I talked about before was Psycho. It did become a movie series, and it just doesn't get enough love, in my opinion. I think some of that is because some people think it'd be blasphemous to create sequels to Psycho. And I think the first time I talked about it, I did mention that uh, Hitchcock did not want the sequels of Psycho, but Psycho did have sequels. Psycho originated as a book from Robert Bloch, and he actually wrote a novel that was Psycho 2. He did continue the series, and he actually didn't like the fact that Alfred Hitchcock bought his book just so that nobody could make the sequels, because Hitchcock did not want the sequels to be made. So as soon as Hitchcock died, somewhere in between 1980 and 82, I don't remember exactly, somewhere in there, you finally get Psycho 2 comes out in 1983, which is the continuation. And it does follow the timeline. He supposedly was in an asylum for all those years from 1960 until 1983. I did pull it up here. And it follows the story. And then you have Psycho 3, where he comes back a third time. And then they did Psycho 4, which was supposed to be a prequel to the others. They go back to the beginning. And you do get Anthony Perkins uh, playing Norman Bates in all four of those movies. They do have some slasher aspects because they were made in the 80s. So there is enough, horror and gore there for more modern audiences. But I feel like, and I know you're not going to get as good as the original. That's one of the greatest movies ever made, possibly the greatest horror movie ever made, or at least arguably. Anyway, it's not going to be anywhere near that, but they still hold their own. They're not bad, in my opinion. I think they really do hold up as decent movies. If you were going to do sequels, they do hold up. Of course, there was also that remake in '98, which I confess I have not seen, and I'm not sure I want to do a remake. I'm a little better with a sequel than I am a remake in this particular instance, but.
Oh, that's that one that they do frame by frame. No, don't even bother.
Okay, yeah.
It
Don't
doesn't
even
really
bother.
have the tension. It doesn't. It doesn't.
It's just basically it's doing scene by scene,
Yep.
word for word.
Really?
I guess the guy got the original script, and while they didn't get all the original props or something like that, they just did it. One, two, three. They didn't deviate from it. They didn't add into it. They just did it exactly frame by frame as the first one. I saw it in the theaters, and yeah, I saw it in the theater, and I was rather disappointed because I was hoping that they would, '98, they would have umped the psycho factor to it.
The gore a little bit or something too, I think.
Yeah,
This series, I was going to go with this series, but I knew you were going to do it, Bill. I was sure you were going to do it, so I didn't do it. I agree.
right.
The first one is a sheer classic, but the other three are all really good.
Yes.
And they hold up. The stories are varied enough, and it's just a really good series.
They really are. They really hold up as good stories.
I did like the fourth one where it was kind of giving like an origin to it, and then how he was like, I want to kill, I want to kill, I want to kill, and then just how the talk show host was almost like talking him down, and but it was cool to get like the younger Norman Bates was played by Henry Thomas. Is that right?
Sounds right. Yeah.
And I forget what the actress that played the mother, Olivia Hussey, I think.
Yes.
And I always thought when she was younger she was a gorgeous woman. But I like when they did the origin, but they didn't make it like far-fetched. It was just kind of, you got to see why he became the reason, And then also that series Bates Motel.
Yeah, that's another one that I always meant to watch and I still haven't watched. How was that?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
but I kind of think that they kind of just stretched out a lot of stuff.
And they changed it. It's a completely different universe, really.
Yeah. But it was cool.
My wife loves that series so much. We've watched, I think, 3 times.
Yeah.
I have heard good things, and I would like to see. I should probably sit down and watch it at some point.
Yeah, I think so.
My only issue with part 4 that goes back to the beginning is forget what it was now, but there is an inconsistency there to the original movie. Something with the ending, so I don't want to give away too much anyway, which I'm kind of forgetting exactly what that inconsistency was at the moment anyway, but that was my only issue with it. And sometimes when you're in the creative process, you kind of have to, to make a good story in one of the prequels, you have to do it. It's kind of on the same lines as the prequels of the Star Wars movies. They did change a little bit of what's supposed to happen in the original trilogy Star Wars when they did the 3 prequels, but But still, it still holds up as a good movie, though. And I kind of understand why they did it too. But I mean, if you know everything that's going to happen, what's the point in watching the movie, right?
Right. I mean, you want to kind of just give like little hints,
Right. And so I don't want to make too big a deal out of the inconsistency, but you should know that there's an inconsistency in that particular prequel.
The wizard is.
And I would have abdicated. I would have abdicated sequel to you, Psycho to you, if you wanted. I can come up with something else.
The wizard looks like he's getting restless.
You don't want me to get restless.
You need a boiling cauldron in front of you, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually had a skull set out, but yeah.
I guess that goes back to the wizard.
Yes. And I'm going to end things with another television series, The Invaders. This was in the 1960s, and it was done by Quinn Martin, who did The Fugitive. Everybody knew The Fugitive. And there are definitely some similarities to The Fugitive, but you've got this guy who witnesses a UFO coming down, a flying saucer, and these people in it who look human, and he gets involved in this whole conspiracy and realizes that these people are coming down, these aliens are coming down and taking on human form. And they very, very nearly pass for human, but their hands are a little messed up, which is how you can tell the difference. And they're working to take over the world. And he's trying to warn people about it. And little by little, he gets people, convinced, and they get involved. And some of them get killed in the process. And it's actually a really good TV series at the time. It's pretty creepy. And there's a lot of suspense. I thought it was a very good show, and it still holds up. I own that one too. It still holds up.
Yeah, I remember vaguely about that one. That it was kind of had a creepy vibe to it. I think the one thing with the black and white back then. I mean, it has a creepiness that I don't think color can touch.
I don't remember if it's all in black and white or some of it's in color.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one.
It is a good series. Trying to remember. I think it might have been in color, actually. No, it was in black and white. You're right. Yeah, it's in black and white. Oh, wait. Nope, hang on, it was in color.
Oh, it was in color?
Yeah, The Invaders was in color. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It still had a creepiness to it, I thought.
Yes, very creepy.
I think it's because of the storytelling.
Yeah, I agree.
If you have good storytelling, you have everything. So it usually takes, I think.
And if you don't have that, it's really hard to make something work.
Hard to make up for it. Yeah.
The story always has to come first.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. All right. Well, my last one is from 1988, and it's two films, and it's Waxwork, and it is a horror comedy. So that's my only straight horror comedy that I got on here. And it has Zach Galligan, Deborah Foreman, David Warner, Patrick McNee, and they said it's partially inspired by the 1924 silent film Waxworks, and it's basically there's a waxworks in town, and each set or exhibit, if you step into it, you go into that time. So it's kind of time travel-ish. I don't know if it was in the first one or in the second one. There was one where they actually go into the Marquis de Sade's dungeon, and
I believe that's the first.
yeah,
I
and
have seen these.
I like that it did that, whereas as opposed to the waxed statues coming to life, it's like you went into those different exhibits, where you had um that one, you had what it was. Let's see what the other ones. They have
I
different.
think the
It's like
second one is kind of where the waxworks kind of come to life. But the first one, yeah, I think they go into that portal, or the first one rather, they go into that portal into the Marquis
well,
de Sodom.
they're calling them pocket dimensions because there's one where there's a werewolf. There, uh, there's a kind of a Count Dracula, Fan of the Opera. I mean, it's a fun movie. I mean, if you just want your horror with a little lightness to it, and there's still some tension to it. These two are really good for that. I mean, and this was another one that was put out on Vestron Video as a little box set, you know. And if you can find them inexpensive, I would say get them because for some reason Vestron Video on Blu-ray they're expensive. I mean, I found one just a single disc of a movie that they put out. They're looking like close to $30, and I'm like, no. I mean, I'll pay $30 for a box set, but not a single movie. But if you can find them, at a decent price, I mean, this is a fun one to watch. Both of them are. I mean, and like I said, this is the other one where the second one it didn't had nothing to do really with the first
Not much anyway.
one. It there was like I think it's like the how Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, where it's kind of almost like a reboot ish. Um, and it leaves off, but then the two surviving characters are played by two different actors. It's not, and that's the one thing. I mean, if you're if you're a director and you want to do more than one film, try your hardest to get the same person in the lead roles, because I think that's where it kind of confuses some audience. It's like, wait a second, wasn't that person played by such and such? They look quite different. But it's this is out of the ones I chose. This one has the most fun element to it, and so if you're just not looking for something that's a serious horror, this one you might like it.
The second one I like because it's just a fun monster romp. Like all the monsters,
Yeah.
all the famous monsters throughout history come in and
Yeah.
are chasing the kids around and stuff. It's a good fun monster romp. You can't have more fun than that.
In a way, kind of reminds me of Scooby Doo, with the monsters are chasing.
Yeah.
Kind of
Something like that. The first one's a little creepier, probably, but the second one's funner, I think, in my opinion, at least.
Oh yeah, I agree. So that's my final take.
So my final pick, I decided to go with the Scream series. Although I confess I've only gotten through the first three, I have heard that starting with 4, the killer becomes supernatural. And I'm kind of glad I know that before I watched 4 because I didn't find out until more recently. So I think I would be happier knowing that going into whenever I do decide to go back and watch 4, which I think it is available streaming on one of the 3 platforms right now. So I probably will watch it this Halloween season. The thing I love about Scream was that the slasher series, the slasher series was starting to get to be a bit passe by the time the 90s came out, right? They've been doing this stuff since the 70s at least. And the 80s, it just took over all of horror. And it was getting to be, kind of one thing after another. Just a bunch of teenagers about to have sex and they all get slashed up. So this movie decided to define all of this, so you have killers who are just huge horror movie fans. It's a group like teenagers who are a bunch of horror movie fans, and one of them's going around killing the others. They don't know which one is doing it. So there's a little bit of a mystery aspect to it. And it's logically done because a horror movie fan would follow, or at least potentially could follow, those rules of the 80s horror movie, right? And they go through all the rules. Don't go off alone, you'll get killed. If you have sex, you'll get killed. And of course, in the end, I don't give up too much of the ending of the survivors and everything, but one of the people who does turn out to be a virgin does live. So it's very smartly done, extremely well written. The first three are kind of that way. They keep defining each one of them. They're self-aware. They make fun of things. Even the things in the movie itself. Jennifer Aniston is in it. And one of them says, "Didn't you do?" Somebody comes up to her. She's a newswoman, and somebody comes up to her at some point and says something like, "Didn't you do a nude layout with such and such?" And she goes, "No, that was Courtney Cox." I mean, as a reference to the Friends TV series. So they
Right.
they keep doing these little, there's these little Easter eggs throughout the whole thing. And the other two do a lot of the same things as well. These are the rules of a horror movie. This is what you do to survive. This is what you don't do if you want to die. And there's a lot of famous people in that first one as well. David Arquette and Drew Barrymore. I would say it's definitely worth seeing. If you don't like slashers, I think it's definitely worth seeing, which most people watching this probably do like slashers. But even if you do like slashers, it's worth seeing because it is kind of a slasher, but it's also defining the genre as it goes. I hesitate to call it a horror comedy, but there are jokes in it. I'd say it's still pretty solidly in the horror genre, but it's kind of almost parodying those 80s slashers in what it does. So it works on multiple levels. So I think those multiple level type movies gives it rewatchability because every time you see it, you notice something else that you might have missed the previous time. So I do plan on getting through at least a few more. I don't know if I'll ever get through all 7. We'll see. But I do want to get through at least some of these later ones in the series at some point. I think they're worth seeing. And thinking of the Easter eggs, one of the main guys, I just had it up. One of the main guys in the first couple Scream movies, Matthew Lillard, is also in the first Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and they do make some Easter egg type comments towards Scream in Five Nights at Freddy's, and they're making Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and I hear the other guy who, if you don't know, turns out to be the killer in Scream is going to be in that one as one of the killers in Five Nights at Freddy's. So they're doing like this almost shared universe thing of Five Nights at Freddy's and Scream, which is it. So I don't know if you want to count that as part of the series or not, but it kind of sounds like maybe, I don't know. Anyway, they do a lot of these Easter egg type things in Five Nights at Freddy's towards Scream, and that's one of the reasons they use some of the same actors. It's very interesting. Again, it's one of those things with Easter eggs.
It's very meta. It's very meta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
That was kind of cool that it did that. I mean, because like you said, the slasher formula was just the same thing over and over and over. Someone needed to up it, and it was cool that it was Wes Craven.
Exactly. One of the people who helped define the genre originally. Certainly comes back. Good point. One that I meant to make and forgot. Have you guys seen any of the later ones in the series? Because I've only gotten to 3, I confess, but I think I do want to hit a few more.
They're all pretty good. I think the first 3 are probably the best ones. But they do come up with something clever. I won't give away what happens in the most recent one because it had a lot of people. They had a lot of people very upset.
It goes up to 7 now. I know. I
think number 7 is the last one, and a couple of people are a little upset with who gets killed in the 7th one. And I'm not. I won't give it away because that's relatively a new film. So
right.
But I think it's streaming somewhere. I mean,
an interesting thing.
either on Paramount or Peacock or something like that. One of those streaming sites that has it.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna check it out. Check out at least a few more in the series during this Halloween. I usually watch newer horror movies during the Halloween season. That's my only real difference. Although sometimes I watch newer horror movies throughout the year too, but I usually watch more of the newer ones September and October.
Right.
That's my only real difference in my Halloween viewing, my versus the rest of the year. Right.
Yeah.
Typically watch
If
a lot
you
of newer
guys
stuff.
are anybody other than you, obviously you two, anybody that's my friend on Facebook will see. Every Halloween I do the 31 days of Halloween where every day I watch a horror movie. And I try to do something different than the previous years. And this time we're gonna watch all the Universal monsters first. Then I think that's gonna be the first half of the month. The second half we're gonna go start getting some more modern stuff into maybe Halloween, watch something new. I don't know. We just wing it. I find if you make plans, something always disrupts it.
Yeah,
You
probably.
know,
Fair enough.
but hey, everybody, we've got now 15 different series for you to check out. If you haven't already checked them out. I mean, I think mine and Bill's, we have more of the obscure stuff. So, what is your 5 favorite franchises? And uh, maybe you have some that we haven't even talked about that maybe we missed, or or never even seen before. We'd love to know because we're always into new or newer new stuff to us. Because
If somebody
you
with some
can't.
good math skills, somebody give us a total rundown of how many movies are covered with all these series.
I mean, it's fun
Might have
to
topped
get
100.
new sets of movies to check out because then, um, you know, I mean, it's nice that you have your certain ones that you always watch in Halloween, but it's nice to kind of slip things up a little bit, add something new that you'd never seen before. And hopefully one of our 15 qualifies. And like I said, if you got 5 that you want to tell us that we never seen, love to hear it. So this episode will be coming up around, just before Halloween. So
Yeah,
it
at the end of
gives
September.
everybody enough time to go track things down if you want to.
It'll come up at the end of September, which means it'll be up for all of October.
Yeah. Um, so we look forward to seeing what y'all have to add to to. So everybody, happy Halloween from me and Pazuzu. And we've got Jason over there and the wizard. And thank you everybody that's watched us. I know we have a few loyal viewers out there, and we appreciate you. And hopefully we get some more people on here. So if you like this, what we've done so far, as they always say, like, share, subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you very much for watching this episode. And stay tuned for the next one.